infinitely worse than it was. I mean, we were used, for years, we went through these things, arguing with the soldiers, arguing with the police, trying to protect the Palestinians. If they would arrest a Palestinian, we would always, on principle, demand that they arrest one of us or more, two, just to be with them, because if a Palestinian is arrested, then it's like an open check. Anything can happen. He can be sent to jail for years. He can be put in administrative detention, even if he did absolutely nothing. He'll come before a military court, which is, acting in Hebrew. He doesn't understand Hebrew, doesn't know what's going to happen. Their record at the military courts, they have a over 99% record of convicting Palestinians who come before the court. It's hopeless. If you're a Palestinian, you come before one of these courts, then they can send you to jail for years if they want to, even though you've done nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong at all. If we're there with him in the police station and we're there when they're interrogating him and all of that, then there's at least a chance that we might be able to protect such a person and get him released. But now, see, those were the days, those were the days where we could, if something bad was happening, let's say a settler attack, a real attack, I can describe to you what that's like. If there's an attack, we could in those days call the police or we could call the army. And there would be at least a chance that some honest policeman might turn up. Or maybe he was a dishonest policeman, but at least he would, kind of put an end to the immediate violence. And similarly with the army officers, who were, for the most part, they used to be anyway, they were just normal people. With some exceptions, I met one or two who were truly sadistic, but normally they were not like that. And when they would turn up, they would have their closed military zone order, and they would, they would maybe protect us a little bit from these rampaging settlers, but that's no longer the case. It's really important that you know this. Actually this is a process that began even before the war, the Gaza war. The last 2 years, I would say, was already in full spate. But now, under the cover of the war, what shall I say, these rampaging lunatic settlers who, I'll say more about them in a second. I mean, they're the rulers. They're the sovereigns in a place like the South Hebron Hills or the Jordan Valley or anywhere in the West Bank. The police and the army are 100% with them. There's no recourse, and there's no legal recourse, because although in those days we were able to go to the courts sometimes if we were prepared over years to keep persisting with a particular landowner in his field or something like that. That avenue is no longer open to us. The courts are also useless. And now we're talking about extreme settler violence every day, all over the West Bank. And so let me just explain to you, we're talking about these settlers. I knew a lot of them when they were teenagers. Now they've grown, they're a little older. They're like in their 20s, a lot of them. As teenagers, they were, I think one could say, they was kind of lost in the world. That was the general feeling I usually had with these people. They'd been brainwashed. A lot of them came from broken families, sociopathic families. They were picked up in the streets by these settlers who wanted to, they needed that manpower. They indoctrinated them, brainwashed them. But those kids were often, when I would talk to them, they seemed lost in the world. Although they had this idea that, this was the Jews' land, the Jews, God is some kind of real estate agent given the deed of possession to the Jews and only to the Jews. Therefore, not only that, and the Messiah will eventually come if they could only clear out all the non-Jews and all the secular Jews like Peggy and something like that. The Messiah, it's not a metaphor. They think that the Messiah is going to come. It may happen in the context of an apocalyptic war. They want that to happen. That's what they want. And a lot of them are crazy. And the worst thing is that I can tell you from personal experience, they're often sadistic. They're truly sadistic. They really want to cause pain and suffering. And there's no hesitation about shooting live ammunition, killing people. And they also kill the sheep, and they kill the goats, and they come into the villages. All the villages live in constant terror that these settlers are going to come as a group, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe during the day at some point, maybe it'll be 10 of them, maybe it'll be 20 of them. They'll be masked, you know, they'll be carrying these submachine guns because Ben Gvir, our Minister of National Security, has distributed something like 10,000 rifles, you know, to these people.
100,000 licenses.
100,000 licenses, yeah, automatic licenses to have a weapon. The West Bank is crawling with these armed settlers. They'll come into the villages. Some of you heard me say this, I guess, in December. I don't want to repeat it all, but there's like serious violence all the time, every day, in all the villages in Area C, which is 62% of the West Bank, where all the settlements are. And sometimes it's also in Area B, which is supposedly under joint Israeli-Palestinian jurisdiction.
When I was there in March, there were not just 2 or 3 places to go on the Saturday trips. There were 15 places where the, like 10 of us were all supposed to be. It was really overwhelming. But 18 of these villages, don't forget, no longer exist as of since October. One of them being
Zanuta, which we just talked about, that place, remember, with the guy and the command car and all that, no longer exists because these people cannot, and they reach a point where they cannot stand the violent harassment anymore. They just can't live like that. Their children are terrified. That's the thing that they always tell us, that, I mean, their kids are just totally terrified, and with good reason. And I mean, the main thing, I mean, you have to understand this. I'm going to tell you a good story in a minute, or read something from it, but you have to understand that this is a systematic, organized campaign of what could only be called ethnic cleansing. That's what it is. They want to drive the entire Palestinian population in Area C out somewhere. And they have plans beyond Area C, but first they want, we're talking about maybe 200,000 Palestinians, something like that. And their lives, they're worth nothing in the eyes of these settlers, and the violence is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And along with the violence is torture and all kinds of horrible things. Okay, I think that's enough of the gloomy side.
Can I just, if those of you in the back have to go like this and you can barely hear, why don't you bring some chairs over here and over there? Just grab your chairs and bring them to the sides.
There's a piano bench over there
the
too.
Piano bench, yeah, feel free, stand over here, stand over there, however you guys.
Take a moment to relocate and I'll blast the air. Just a moment of air circulation. I know, but no one can hear them with this. What?
It doesn't feel saying that it's fine even without.
Oh no, okay, but I'm running it for a moment because it's very special.
Might as well.
Well done.